Mascot horror games. I am so disappointed when I sit here and tell you, as one of the biggest advocates of mascot horror games, the recent trend in this genre, it needs to be stopped. Matter of fact, this whole mascot horror genre needs to be stopped. And when I say horror, I don't mean horror in any way. Their existence of these mascot horror games are horror just because they exist. And recently I've been watching a lot of long-form content, some sort of like documentary commentary videos, and I've started this new series just because of that. So if you're interested to watch more of something like this, you already know what to do. But I've made a list here that I wanted to go through with y'all. The reason I'm here is because of this game, Muzzy. Muzzy? This changed everything. Prior to this, Garten of Banban, or should I say Garten of Peak, which we're gonna come to in just a second, things might have been, you know what, okay, there's one that got popular by accident, okay, you know, developers are still trying, but when we talk about Muzzy and the upcoming games such as Toytopia, Circus of Tim Tim, I mean, that one looks a bit interesting. The Nutcracker? Huh? Are you serious with me right now, bro? It just feels like there's a factory out there. They're making the process so automated, it seems like they're chipping out these mascot horror that are so much alike to each other. Similar textures, similar playthroughs, similar stories, similar chase scenes. Brother, if you were to tell me they were all made by same developers, I would believe you. But Muzzy is where it all started. Muzzy, when you play it, or even when you watch it, you can see so much inspiration. And when I say inspiration, I mean inspiration and then some. There's the snake mascot, who is literally similar to Poppy Playtime's characters, Huggy Wuggy. And for the first time, you know, I don't blame YouTubers who make videos on this and, you know, say, oh, you know what, it is an interesting game. I am guilty of that myself. But the recent trend has changed everything. YouTubers who know that they get views when they make videos on games like these are not afraid to call them out. Wow. Fusion Z Gamer, Doggo, Super Horror Bro, and many other are rightfully calling this out, saying another one of those mascot horror games with a similar story, Huggy Wuggy style chase scenes, and oh my god, the lore. Can you believe it? The lore. A couple of months back, I played this game on the channel called Joyville, and it actually was a little bit interesting. But now when I look back, oh brother, I pray something changes drastically and we get something different. I hope so. Otherwise, it's the same thing. Either somebody's finding their kid, either somebody is back years after its closure, the facility's closure, toys turning alive, kids' souls in them, experiments, lore through tapes. I'm dead. It would make for the cool shot, actually. Where are we going? Venge. I cannot believe I've played this game on the stream, and I cannot believe I was here when the whole drama between Venge developers and Poppy Playtime developers started, when Venge developers accused Poppy Playtime developers of copying their game, and when you play both games you're like, what's going on here? Who's saying what? This rabbit hole goes so deep. There are upcoming games such as Toytopia, of which I made a tweet about, and yeah, well, it's a game, to say the least. Or the upcoming games such as Circus of Tim Tim, which actually looks a bit interesting. They are trying to get out of that hole, but then it just looks similar. There's a killer clown kind of feel to it, but it is in the still same category. Or the upcoming game called The Nutcracker. What? Yep, The Nutcracker. I can sit here and say all this, but this whole pack is currently led by the peak experience in horror, and all of horror, not just mascot horror, Garten of Banban. Garten of Banban is a peak experience. If y'all don't believe me, MatPat from The Game Theorist has 9 theory videos left, and he chose Garten of Banban 6 to be his final 9th video. Let that sink in, bro. But I sit here, I talk about Garden of Peak here on my YouTube and on my, Twitter, and some of y'all take the bait, but let me be honest here, okay? Garden of Banban is the reason of many of these games. I respect the hell out of the developers, okay? They're actually trying out here. There are only 2 people, and I've, worked with them in the past. They've given me a key or 2, might have, for the previous games, and I was with them through and through till the 3rd game, then I just fell off. And to tell you how much I fell off, I booted up Banban 6. And I was like, wait a second, I'm not gonna play Banban 5. I'm just gonna play Banban 6. Then I realized Banban 5 didn't even drop. And I'm playing Banban 6. I couldn't finish the game. I could not finish the game, ladies and gentlemen. And I play a lot of indie horror games, and I have a soft spot for them. Even if I'm not enjoying, I'm like, you know what, it might pick up later on in the game. But even I couldn't finish it. Even I could have, and I gave up on that game. So the target audience for a lot of these games. And there's nothing wrong with making a game that works for a certain audience, even if I don't like them. But it is one of those messes that we will never know how far this is gonna go, because I was sure the game will fall off after the 3rd game, but nope, it is going strong. Second to Puppy Playtime, let that sink in. I want to talk about some questionable franchises that I don't know how to feel, because I kind of like them. Emily Wants to Play and Emily Wants to Play 2. This is one of the only games that I'll say really knew its place. It didn't try to overachieve anything. It did what it wanted to do, and then some it achieved, and it just went back. Emily Wants to Play and Emily Wants to Play 2 are the good examples of how to do Mascot Horror. Right, they count as Mascot Horror, by the way. Amanda the Adventurer. Okay, we're gonna call that a Mascot Horror, even though now we're blurring the line between them. But Amanda the Adventurer is the right example, is the example that everybody should follow, is how to take this genre forward. If this game was free roam, collect tapes and whatnot, it would not have hit. But the way it just sets itself apart from many others shows why it deserves the views that it gets. Hello Neighbor. Okay. I cannot sit here and be like, what, the early builds of Hello Neighbor was trash. It made an impact here on the scene. It fell off ever since. Yeah, that's all I have to say. And finally on my questionable list is Candyland. Okay, they have a game in development and they have a series, season 1 in development. Both look crazy, out of this world. The animation's quality is so high, that they're just gonna hit. But the NFTs is what ruins it. A lot of people just have decided that no, they're not gonna check this out regardless of how good this is because of the NFTs. I'm on the verge of like, okay, what if they don't involve NFT at all? But then they say these people are scamming other people of NFTs and then using that money off of scam to make these. I don't know. I'm gonna leave that question to you guys. Where do you stand on this? Let's not forget 2 categories. Roblox titles such as Doors and Piggies, and then Kaplarians and other mobile games such as Ice Scream, Evil Nun, Granny, and other, Granny clones. Again, it's one of those cases where they were the first one to do it right and to do it differently. Even on the Roblox sections, you have some of the best looking Roblox game dropping last year in 2023, and there are some others that just look crazy that are coming this year. So it's just a matter of, pick and choose. I don't know. We talked about some of the questionable things. We talked about bad examples, the reason why these needs to be stopped. Let's look at some of the good examples. Let's understand how we ended up here, okay? Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy, and Puppy Playtime. Five Nights at Freddy's changed the Mascot Horror forever, alright? The way it is today because of it. Bendy took it one step further. So when we talk about toys having kids' souls, animatronics having kids' soul, you can thank Five Nights at Freddy's for that. It made its impact. Now it is in the Steelwool era. Controversial security breach, highly praised Help Wanted 2, well-praised Ruin DLC, so it's still finding its footing here in the modern era, but it's done its job. Similar thing but a little less happened with Bendy. Bendy took what FNAF made popular and took it to the next step with this ink cartoony world. This is one thing that I'll say Bendy did right. It did it different. Yes, sure, Bioshock is all over the place in this game, but you don't see Bendy clones in terms of the art style that much. But you can blame Bendy for coming back to the studio after years, finding these creatures who wants to kill you or side with you, finding your foot in the place, family, brother. No, although is now itself is trying to find its footing in the modern day and age between all these up-and-coming horror games. I think they're okay, above average with Battle and now the upcoming Bendy the Cage. They're still trying to push it to see how much they can, elevate their own genre, kinda sorta. They made this little bubble, and I like that because they're staying in it and seeing how far they can elevate that bubble. And then the mother of all Mascot Horror games, Poppy Playtime. When I tell you that this game is popular, please heed my advice. Heed my words, ladies and gentlemen. This game is so popular. The cultural impact Poppy Playtime made is beyond what Five Nights at Freddy's and Bendy could. It is insane. It is nuts. And I have a video, a kind of sort of documentary on how it happened. Stay tuned for that. But the reason we're seeing all this is because Poppy Playtime initially had a rough start, with itself being called out as a Bendy copycat. Then the Venge controversy. I cannot believe I was even there for that. And then of course Garten of Banban. Garten of Banban is popular because of the space and time between each chapters of Poppy Playtime. Kids who just like to see toy animatronics and, chasing these and having these colorful worlds, they have a small attention span. So of course they're gonna like Poppy Playtime, but whilst they're waiting for the next chapter, they're gonna be like, "Ooh, this looks similar. This looks interesting. Let me check that one out." If in a year Garten of Banban released 5 separate games in comparison to Poppy Playtime, who did 1, who is still waiting for their 3rd chapter? How long has it been since chapter 2? Boy, the fact that in search-wise, Garten of Banban is just below Skibidi Toilet and above Poppy Playtime tells you everything you need to know about this generation. This generation is fricked. This generation is done for, bro. The next generation is done. These iPad kids, they are done for, bro. Dark Deception. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, this is such an innocent game, it didn't do anything." It is also a Mascot Horror. Have you seen Chapter 4? Have you played Chapter 4? Yes, this is a Mascot Horror through and through, but it's one of the good examples. A good Mascot Horror game that separates itself from any other that I've mentioned so far, and that is why it has a very dedicated and passionate community. Let's move on. Tattletail. Tattletail is another one of those trendy games, I will say. It was good, but it was a trendy game. A Tattletail was a game that was made at the right time, blew up in popularity, and then it just went into the sky, went into the deep ocean, never to return ever again. Another one of the good examples, Mr. Hops. Mr. Hops? Oh yes, sir. The 2D animations, an actual good story, great voice acting, really fun gameplay. Oh yeah, sign me up. Put this on your list, ladies and gentlemen. A Mascot Horror game could be goofy, it could be fun, it could be scary, it could be anything. Baldi's Basics. Baldi's Basics is the perfect example of a mascot done right. It is different. It makes its impact like no other. Baldi's Basics is what I wanted from Garten of Banban and then some. We could have had a mixture of Poppy Playtime and Baldi's Basics for Garten of Banban, but we couldn't. In my humble personal opinion, the best mascot horror game out there right now that everybody's sleeping on, My Friendly Neighborhood. Yep, I've said it. My Friendly Neighborhood is the best mascot horror of recent time that everybody's sleeping on. A Resident Evil type of, inventory system. Annoying mascots roaming around these areas. A somewhat decent storyline, but the core of it is just fun. It is fun. You can find fun in almost anything. You can find fun in their dialogues, which is funny. You can find fun in the gameplay, which is actually decently good. Yeah, there's just so much I can say about this game. Please check it out if you haven't already. A somewhat decent example would be Choo Charles. Choo Charles is gonna be the same thing that I've said about Tattletail. Releasing a different, unique game, and I shouldn't say game, an experience at the right time. With the rise of mascots in this space, everybody's trying to be the next Poppy Playtime, everybody's trying to be the next Garten of Banban. You have Choo Charles, who is different, who is unique. It came at the right time, got peaked in its popularity, and then left. Yes, we need more of that. But to rewind the clock even further, duck season. Oh yes, I can tell you right now, there are people who will be like, this is our best Mascot Horror game that we've ever played, ever. And the fact that it was so ahead of its time, because it was VR, oh yes sir, Duck Season will always have a special place in our community. Because it did the horror part right. You want mascots to be alive, to be actually scary? Learn from Duck Season. There's a small game, very small game, called Spooky Jumpscare Mansion. Think of if Mr. Hobbs had a prequel, that would be Spooky Jumpscare Mansion, because Mr. Hobbs did everything that Spooky Jumpscare did right. Now, I know what you're thinking. Smack, you didn't mention games like Franbo, Little Nightmares, Sally, Doki Doki Literature Club. I'll tell you why. Those aren't mascot horror, those are genuine horror games in a different genre, so to speak. The way their art style differs from each other, varies, but those are good games. Do check them out, because if you were to put those games in this list, I would have put Silent Hill 3 at the very top of that list, because Silent Hill 3 also has a mascot called Robbie the Rabbit, and you know me, Silent Hill is the best dang horror franchise of all time. You can literally put any other game next to it, it'll lose. Which is why Silent Hill 2 Remake should be your most anticipated horror game this year, ladies and gentlemen. I can go on and on about Dead Rising 2. I can go on and about so many games that have started the mascot horror in the past, but the main point is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if Cartoon of Batman drops 50th game this year. I don't care if you get Toytopia, Muzzy, Joyville 2, Rainbow Friends. I don't care about that. Go ahead and make them, but do it right. Do it with passion, do it with fun, rather than doing something that is popular. No soul. I don't care if it's Asset Flip, a game which is free, using assets from the Unity store or Unreal store, that is fine by me. But if it's a fun game, that is the whole point of actually being fun, with fun gameplay that I'm actually enjoying, or a difficult game, if you please that, and genuine horror, genuine scares. I don't care what kind of game you make. If you don't have those three elements, you are another soulless cash grab, asset flip copycat. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Silent Hill 2 Remake drops later this year. Check this video out for more on that, and make sure you are Susu for part 2 of our documentary kind of series where I talk about these horror games, quote-unquote horror games. Ugh. And can we please get 200k? Come on, man, please.